Getting promoted to executive director isn't just a bigger title. It's a completely different game. And most people don't realize what changes until it's too late. The truth is, nobody really tells you what it's like going from a senior manager to executive directorship and what really changes. The rules change. The expectations change. And if you don't adapt fast, you'll find yourself overwhelmed, feeling invisible, and questioning why you were chasing this promotion and if you're even cut out for it. In this video, I'm going to pull the curtain back on my first year as an executive director in one of the world's largest investment banks. I'll share the biggest differences I noticed, the mistakes I nearly made, and the exact lessons that helped me step into executive leadership with confidence. And here's why you'll want to stick around to the end of this video. I'm going to give you the same practical tips that I wish someone had given me, the kind of insights that could shave years off your path to executive leadership. So the first thing I noticed is that you go from being a deliverer to a strategist. As a senior manager, you're still very close to the execution, the day-to-day building and executing of work. You're the person known for delivering those results. But as an executive director, you're meant to be the person who defines what work is done in the first place. That means shaping the strategy, influencing the budget, and guiding the priorities. The next big shift is that you go from managing teams of individuals to leading leaders of teams. So previously, where you would manage individual contributors to get specific bits of work done, now you're managing other managers or senior professionals. So it becomes less about day-to-day coaching of the work and more about vision setting, making sure they're aligned with the priorities that you have set out and you've defined, and holding those leaders accountable for those priorities that you have set. The next big change is that you go from being a functional expert to a wide enterprise thinker. As a senior manager, you're valued for your subject matter expertise. But as an executive director, you're expected to know the entire picture. You're expected to know the entire business, how it works, where do you fit into that, and what value are you driving across that entire business. So rather than being a subject matter expert in a specific field, you are now expected to connect the dots across the enterprise and join up the relevant areas to make sure you're thinking big. Another thing that I noticed that changed is that you go from being known to being noticed. When you're a senior manager, you're known for doing good work and delivering good quality on whatever you're executing on. But as an executive director, your visibility matters. You need senior stakeholders to trust you and to buy into what it is that you want to do, especially in a large corporate bank where decisions are being made that cost millions. You need to know that you've got senior stakeholders that trust in what you want to do. But here's where the real shock comes in, the part that nobody tells you about. The shift really hits you hard. It feels incredibly overwhelming. You're not just a person joining meetings and sitting there in the background talking about specific tickets that need to be delivered or going through prioritizing your backlog. You're now the person that everybody looks to, the one who's running these meetings. And suddenly you're thinking about the budget for these things, the business cases and the value of what it is you're delivering. And also regulatory priorities, especially in the bank, thinking about risk, thinking about compliance. The weight of all of these responsibilities is all on you, and it really hits hard. Suddenly you feel extremely accountable and very open, like you have no defenses. With everyone looking to you for direction, to tell them what to do, to give them the go-ahead, or to say, yes, you can do this is safe to do. It really feels like you're the person with a target on your back. And you really feel this shift in your first 3 to 4 months as an executive director, where these responsibilities pile onto you and senior officials above you or senior leaders are pushing this sort of responsibility onto you now that you are director. And then as you get into months 4 to 6 and beyond, you start realizing that it's not about your reporting line. It's not about all those people who report to you or above you. It's all about influence wider than that. You can't just direct the people around you or who report to you. You have to influence and align those horizontally that don't even report to you. You'll tackle stakeholders who are very skeptical about the work you do, who are critical about your approach. And then you find yourself negotiating with these executives who have been in these roles for years, and you've just come into this fresh. One big lesson I learned is that I had to find my voice in leadership forums. Early on, I hesitated, still thinking like a senior manager, thinking that it's not my place to come up with these ideas or to tackle someone else's idea constructively and maybe veer it in a different direction. But the truth is, I was promoted for a reason. So once I started to share my views that were bold or well-reasoned, I noticed people listened, and then my confidence started to grow as well. I thought I had mastered leadership before this role, but really I was only playing in the shallow end. So stick with me, because I'm going to share the lessons and the tips for you out there who are aspiring executives or really wanting to accelerate getting to executive leadership. The first tip is to start building cross-functional credibility. Right now, you could be a middle manager or senior manager in a specific area of the business. But what executives want to see are leaders who can see beyond their lane. Those middle managers and senior managers who volunteer for projects that may be horizontal to them, outside of their remit. Or perhaps you can connect the dots between what you're doing and another completely different team and really start thinking about the enterprise as a whole. If you start to do this early on, you're already being seen as a visionary leader who's ready for that next step. The second tip, I would say do this early on, is to learn the language of the business. So as a middle manager or senior manager, you've got technical knowledge in your special area, whether it's finance, risk, compliance, technology, like myself, but that technical knowledge isn't going to get you very far at executive leadership. You need to start talking in terms of revenue, risk, client impact, costs. So start to shift your language towards outcomes rather than output. The next tip is to master executive communication. Now, executive updates are a completely different skill in themselves. They are concise, structured, and focused on decisions, less into the details. You should start learning how to brief a senior leader in under 5 minutes. Senior leaders do not have time to sit there and listen to the details or the problems you're facing. They just want short, sharp updates that are really relevant to them, to the outcomes they're driving, and how it's relevant to the entire business. The next tip is to start influencing without authority. And as a middle manager, you're well on your way to be able to do this quite easily. You should be building relationships with those outside of your team and more horizontally, building trust with them to maybe deliver work together. You should be building reciprocity with these individuals, so maybe they can help you on occasions and you help them. This essentially builds your trust at a much wider level of the business, so that when it comes to picking those individuals who are promoted to executive leadership or are noticed, you'll be up there at top of the list. And a tip for when you do get to executive leadership, like myself, is to protect your energy and your time. At this level of the organization, you are literally in back-to-back meetings all day. And those conversations are high stakes, they're high pressure and can be very tense. You are constantly in decision-making mode or trying to justify exactly why someone should follow the path that you have set out. You need to find a way to protect your focus quickly so that you don't burn out. So becoming an executive director is both daunting and extremely exciting. It's the first true step into the executive leadership club where the stakes truly feel higher. But at the same time, so are the opportunities and the rewards for it. So if you're aiming for this level, start acting like an executive before you even get the title. Now, I would love to hear from you. What do you think are the biggest challenges for stepping into executive leadership? And what about your stories? I'd love to hear them if you'd like to share. So drop a comment below and let's share notes. And if you found this video useful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who is aspiring high in their career.